looking at, what we got there? There we go, Bitcoin. As we're talking about Bitcoin kind of moving sideways, and this is what we're going to talk about. Go ahead and we'll jump on to TA. And I'm going to start, it's a little bit different to show. A lot of times Jeb will come in, come out, go a lot of different places. I kind of want to focus today on, we're going to look back. I know Kelly has a point. He's going to look back at something and try to help us see a clearer picture. But I really want to focus TA today really on the next 24 to 72 hours and what you guys should be expecting with Bitcoin price. Because we've talked about on this show time after time after time, we are bullish long term. We do think that Bitcoin is going to be getting closer to that $100,000 level that everyone's wanted now for months. It's going to happen at some point this year. I do think we should focus on regaining 70, getting to 70 first before we start reaching for 100. But a lot of you are wondering, and the reason you tune in every single day is Tim, Jeb, Smay, Kelly, what is Bitcoin going to do next? So before I even show you why I think this, I'm going to go ahead and start by giving you a prediction of what I think price action could look like, give or take, over the next 24 to 72 hours. So right now, as you guys can see, we're kind of sitting in a bull flag right here. What I mean by that is we have our nice flag sitting right here. Coming up, oh, my arrow's back today. And then the price has moved sideways. We have a level of resistance right here. We have a level of support right here. Forgive the arrows right there. That's a setting that you can have on TradingView that I have not messed with here. I can show you guys if you were wondering. You just click on it right there, turn it back to normal, boom. So now one of them has no arrow, the other two do. But this flag right here is showing us a potential. If we were to extrapolate this out by using the line chart instead, we could actually see a prediction price on Bitcoin going all the way as high as let's see, I gotta zoom down, $51,000 from this flag alone. So that is a bullish sign right there. Now, in this flag, there's been a couple of things that give me a little bit of pause for wondering why that might happen. And I'm gonna talk about that here in just a second. But for you guys who are wondering, this flag, this flag we're forming right now is in fact a bullish setup. We're watching the price start to go up, but here is my prediction, as I said, what I think the price action might look like. I think there's a chance either one, we bounce one more time off the resistance, come back down before floating back up to around $46,000, or we just go ahead and go straight to it. Now, here's the problem though, is I have this feeling that we're actually gonna, instead of claiming 46,000 for support, we're gonna get rejected again, and potentially, I'm hoping not lower mid-30s, but we might come back down to around 42, 41 area, setting up an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would give us a price prediction, as we talked about a couple of days ago, of 57,000. Now, I know that was a lot of stuff I just threw at you, a lot of predictions, a lot of unknowns. You want to know why I came to that conclusion. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. The first thing on the daily chart, just so you guys can see and clarifying, we are technically red right now on the daily chart. I'm not going to spend that much time on the daily chart because a lot of what we're seeing to predict the next 24 to 72 hours is on the 4-hourly and down. But I wanted you to know, just right now, we're kind of sitting in a spot of indecision. You guys can see that we had a spinning top. There we go. Sometimes my candles mix up. We got a spinning top, which is kind of a sign of indecision. But right now we're creating a hammer right there. We got to find out what's going to happen. But when we go down to the 4-hourly chart and we start with the RSI, which is one of my favorite indicators to use to help make predictions, this is what I'm seeing. So as you guys notice, it's going to be a lot clearer when we go down to the hourly chart, but clearly the RSI has dropped at a quicker rate than the price action. Now, what does this mean? There's actually two things that come from this. This is why I'm actually pretty confident that we're going to be hitting 46, which is the bullish side of what we see here on the 4-hourly RSI, but it's also the reason why I think we're going to reject. And let me explain why. When the RSI comes down, it's kind of like this resetting. When the RSI drops faster than the price, it's a resetting of action. What it's showing us is that now we're gearing up for another move to the upside. So if I see this happening on the daily chart or the weekly chart or the monthly chart, I am super excited because those charts take a longer time to actually end up playing out the bullish move. Even though I know a correction will come with that move, I know that for the foreseeable future, we're going to have bullish action. Unfortunately, on the 4-hourly chart, this is only giving us a clearer picture for, like I said, the next 24 to about 72 hours. So this is what is kind of saying we're going to come up in price because our RSI has gotten lower. We're reloading. It's a lot easier now to mount another rally. The problem, however, is that when we do it like this, the price ends up exceeding and going higher, hitting closer on this chart, like that $46,000 level, whereas the RSI cannot quite outdo this peak right here at 76 on the RSI. What does that set up? Bearish RSI divergence, which would cause the price to go ahead and come back down, just as I said, to around 42. Now, this might not be the worst thing in the world, because as we said before, if our price comes down to 42, guess what we have just set up? We've just set up the official combination of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. You wonder what I'm talking about? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, which again, we talked about yesterday, would give us a price prediction of 57,000. However, before we crown that, before we say for certain, guys, this is a great setup for 57,000. I talked about this yesterday on the show. Let's not be too excited, because we did the same thing right here a month ago where we stuttered right here. We rallied up to this level of resistance around right under 45,000. We hovered there for a little bit, made a little push, and then dropped back down. So while I'm not predicting just yet that we have to come back down to 35, know that that is in the cards. But realistically, I think there's a very, very, very high probability that based off of this chart, on the 4-hourly chart, we do end up going up to 46,000 and then rejecting and coming back down at least to 42, if not lower. The other good news is that this potentially, as Jeb talked about yesterday, is an inverse head and shoulders pattern inside of an inverse head and shoulders pattern. What do I mean by that? If you go ahead and look out, we had, as I showed you right here, inverse head and shoulders pattern here. And if this plays out, we have an inverse there. But the other thing is then now we would set up an inverse and play out potentially an inverse head and shoulders pattern right here. So this is a lot going at you. I know there's not complicated. Jeb likes to go into a lot more details. But honestly, this is what I'm seeing as the most important thing to keep your eyes on now.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely consider subscribing, because we're trying to help you become financially free in these cryptocurrency markets. And also, consider following us on Twitter @CryptoJeb for more updates on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Peace.